This is a video going over the last 18-mile long run that I did on the Monterey Coastal Trail. It's going to go into detail about the run. I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. They're going to be time-stamped below. And the first part is going to be gear, or the gear that I'm using, the plan that I formulated before I went on my run and how I executed it, and then my mindset during the run. And during most long runs, because it doesn't really change. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is my gear. And I'm going to start from my shoes and work my way up the body. So first and foremost, I'm wearing Nike Downshifter 12s. They're an inexpensive running shoe. They're my first pair of running shoes, or supportive running shoes, after switching from barefoot running that I used to do in my early 20s. I put on a bunch of weight. I did some bulking. I got up to about 220 pounds, and running was not comfortable in barefoot shoes anymore for my feet. So I switched to normal running shoes, and these downshifters are great. They work great with the Belega Hidden Comfort socks. Just ensures that you don't get any splinters, or blisters while you are running. And then I have some cheap, or I should say inexpensive, because they're rather good quality, shorts from Amazon. I think it was like 20 bucks for a pack of 2. They're Kufendi. They're great for running. They got pockets. I know some people don't like pockets. Pockets are fine for me. I'm also wearing this Dick's Sporting Goods tank top. It's a dry fit, moisture wicking. It was really cheap on sale for like $8. The most expensive thing I probably have here is the Osprey Duro 1.5. I just started carrying one of these because I noticed that these really long runs after 17 miles, I do dehydrate quite a bit, and water is really helpful, and it's easier than carrying it on my belt. So I really like this. It was $129 at REI without tax, but it meets all my needs, and it has a lifetime warranty basically. My sunglasses are just cheap Amazon sunglasses, and they were like 20 bucks for like 4 pairs of them. My hat is an REI Co-op on the trail cap. It was only around $24. The camera that I'm using to film all this is a GoPro Hero 9, and I'm wearing the AppleWatch 2. I can do a whole other video on that. Let's get into the plan, and I'm going to break that down into 3 basic parts, which are the route, the rate, and finally the reason. The route is super important to plan when going on any long run, so that you know how long the run is, where your drop off and pickup points are, or if it's a loop. This particular run that I've gone on a bunch of times already, and it is the Monterey Coastal Trail. It goes from Castroville all the way to Pacific Grove in Monterey, and you pass about 5 towns along the way. Because I planned this route ahead of time, I know exactly how long it's going to take me until I get to 1/3 of the way done. Just finished the first 10K, 6 miles. Without planning the route, you're going to have a hard time planning your rate, or the paces that you are going to be running at, and or your heart rate that you are aiming for. So how many beats per minute is your heart pumping blood through your body? Looking at my Apple Watch data, you can see that my average heart rate was 149 beats per minute. I went up about 180 beats per minute at my maximum, but as you can see from the chart, I stayed mostly in zone 2 while doing this long run. This is not by accident, however. I made sure to keep close attention of my heart rate while I was running, and for the first hour and a half, I tried to stay under 135 beats per minute. For the second half of my run, I kept myself below 147 beats per minute. I climbed above that at different points in that second half of the run. But as long as I kept my average below 147, I felt like I could finish the last 4 miles of this run stronger than when I started. And that's ultimately my goal with these long runs. I want to finish faster and stronger than when I start. And in order to do that, I have to keep track of the rate that I'm running. So how many minutes my miles are, but also the rate of my heart. How fast is my heart beating in relativity to my aerobic zones? With that information, I can plan a long run and be pretty confident that I can not only finish the long run, but finish the run and be able to do another training session the following day. I don't want to over fatigue myself, so it's really important that I plan ahead. When we're talking about rate, it's also very important to discuss the rate at which we are fueling our bodies. On a long run that is over 45 minutes, the general consensus is the body does not have the amount of fuel inside of it needed to sort of perform at its best, and therefore after 45 minutes, you should start fueling with some quick acting carbohydrates. I start my runs fasted and consume a gel packet from GU every 45 minutes. So then when I get 2/3 of the way done, just hit mile 12, 6 more miles to go. I can feel confident with the fact that I have enough energy in my body to allow me to finish my long run strong. Now I'm doing all of this for a particular reason. I am training this way because I have goals that are both long-term and short-term. For long-term goals, I know that running like this is going to make me better at running, and running as much as I can is going to provide me with a lot of cardiovascular benefits for years to come. Short term, I want to run a marathon. And so in the back of my mind, I know that I need to climb over that 20-mile threshold in order to be confident when going into my marathon. If you take time to plan your route, your rate, and your reason for the long run, you are going to have better success because you'll have a better mindset during that long run. And the mindset, I break it down into 3 things: motivation versus discipline, discomfort versus pain, and then enjoying the journey, which is extremely important on these long runs, because if you don't enjoy the journey, you can lose sight of why you're doing this or just give up on doing them completely. On this particular run, I ran past a group protesting. I didn't know what was going on, so I stopped my route. I ran through, I kept running, I didn't stop running. I got a leaflet that they handed to me and I continued on my way. This broke up the monotony of running. It also made something a little bit special because I had discovered it that was new. It wasn't there before, and it was enjoyable for me. On that topic, not every part of your long run is going to be enjoyable. You're going to experience aches and discomforts that sometimes you can start to manifest into pain. What I mean by that is sometimes when we're running on these long runs, especially if we're new to the long run, we can sort of misinterpret our body's adaptations to pain. What I mean by this is discomfort is not always an injury. Pain is not always something to be afraid of. When I started my long runs, I was running a maximum of 6 miles, and that was a long run for me. Now I am between 18 and 20 miles for my Sunday long run. In between that time, I experienced all sorts of discomforts, ranging from abdominal stress on the muscles to hip hinge pinches, and I kept a careful eye on those, and it's definitely a balance. But it's a balance that each one of us has to strike, because we won't get better unless we dive into the realm of discomfort. We have to make our bodies uncomfortable and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's why it's really important to distinguish between motivation versus discipline. Now, this is a concept that another running channel, This Messy Happy, talked about and I really latched onto. The difference between motivation and discipline can be very important. You're not always going to be motivated to start a long run or to even finish your long run. But if you have the discipline necessary to, you can get through these long runs. And what I mean by get through is that at a point, your mind is going to start to play tricks on you. It's going to tell you, you don't need to finish this. You don't have to do this. Why are you going through this? Just stop. Just go get some food. Just go call your wife to pick you up. And you have to bear through all of that and know that there is discipline behind your decisions.